Sometimes you get an idea that feels like a guaranteed win, and today I'm going to show you how one of mine didn't quite land the way I hoped. Welcome back to the Vintage Electronics channel. Now today we're diving into something I was really excited about until I wasn't. Now, as some of you may know, I've been working on a music project with Cedar Miles, and I thought it would be incredible to have a vinyl record made of the entire album. You know, a real hold-it-in-your-hand piece of art, something special. So I ordered one. Full sleeve, full printed labels, the whole 9 yards. Cost $135. And based on the presentation, my expectations were pretty high. But the moment I dropped the needle, I knew something was wrong.
Now here I am. Then one day felt lighter. Didn't notice right away. But the weight that held me under started slowly drifting away. And that's when the light comes back.
Mono, muffled, weak dynamic range. And the surface noise didn't just show up. It moved in, unpacked its bags, and started a family. Now, it looked fantastic, but it sounded bad. And this was a shock. So let's break down why this happened. And along the way, we'll talk about alternatives you might want to explore, if you're considering doing something like this yourself. First, let's look at how pressed vinyl is made. Now, this is the standard most of us are used to. Now, understanding this is going to set the stage for understanding why my custom record missed the mark. Now, a traditionally pressed record goes through a long, highly controlled process. First, you have cutting a lacquer master. A mastering engineer uses a precision lathe, usually something like a Nyman or a Scully, to cut the grooves into a lacquer-coated aluminum disc. Now, this machine controls groove depth, spacing, and stereo information at an incredibly high level of accuracy. Second, they create metal parts. The lacquer is electroplated to create metal masters, mothers, and stampers, and each step replicates the grooves with microscopic precision. Step 3, pressing the vinyl. Hot PVC is sandwiched between the two stampers and pressed under heavy pressure, and this produces deep, consistent grooves that have clean walls and reliable playback. So this process, stamping, it delivers full stereo separation, strong bass response, clear high-end detail, lower surface noise, wide dynamic range, consistency, and long lifespan. Now let's compare that to how lathe-cut records are made. That's what my one-off is. They're not pressed. They're cut one at a time in real time into plastic blanks. Now, in my mind, I thought, okay, well, that's going to be kind of like a master they use in pressing, right? No, not really. See, I didn't do my research. Here's a few things about how these things are made. Number one, it's real-time cutting. That sounds great. If your record's 30 minutes long, the machine has to cut for 30 minutes with 0 mistakes. But here's where it gets kind of dicey. Number two, the material, it's not vinyl. Most lathe cuts use polycarbonate or acrylic, and these materials just don't accept the grooves as cleanly as PVC does. Another thing is limited cutting heads. Most lathe cut services are using more affordable cutter heads than the pros do. They just can't achieve the same fidelity as professional systems. Another thing, number 4, shallow groove depth. This causes reduced bass, less clarity, higher distortion, increased noise, tracking difficulties, and a lot of them are just mono. Some lathe systems just can't cut clean stereo grooves at all. So let's talk about why many lathe cuts sound the way that mine actually did. Sometimes it's the groove geometry. Shallow grooves mean that the stylus has limited movement, so that's going to impact bass and clarity and the overall sound. The other thing is the noise floor. It's really, really high. Polycarbonate is just noisier by nature. You also have dynamic range limitations. Loud transients and wide stereo fields are really difficult to carve cleanly. So you end up with inconsistent playback. What plays okay on one turntable may sound worse on another. I tried this on 3 different ones because I thought there was something wrong with my rig. So obviously I did not do my research. I thought I knew everything I needed to know about vinyl, and obviously I didn't. So let's talk about some better options if you want custom vinyl made that actually has good audio quality. Option 1, short run pressed vinyl. The pros to that are going to be true vinyl quality, deep groove, stereo, low noise, but it's going to be a higher cost and a longer turnaround. Option 2 are dub plates. They're one-off lacquer cuts. Now the pros, higher fidelity than polycarbonate lathe cuts, but they wear quickly and they're super expensive. Option 3, custom pressed picture discs or color variants. Now those are visually impressive and they're still pressed PVC, but I've heard that picture discs may have slightly more noise. Now number 4, avoid vinyl-like products. They're just fancy lathe cuts. Option 5, DIY cutting. Now you could learn to cut your own discs, but there's going to be a steep learning curve. And option 6 would be like a boutique micro pressing plant. Those are generally high quality, they have lower minimums, but the cost can be variable and it can take a long time. That's what most of your short run vinyl things are. So research before you order. Don't do like I did. Ask them, are these pressed? Are they lathe cut? What kind of material are you using? Are they stereo? Can I get samples? What's the noise floor expected to be? Is this a listening piece or just a display piece? And do you have any cutter head limitations? Do they need them mastered specifically for vinyl? At the end of the day, though, I'm still glad that I tried it. I love holding music in my hands, but this particular record, it just wasn't what I hoped for. The artwork, it's great. The idea was great, but the audio just didn't live up to the music or my expectations. Cedar Miles, well, he deserves better. And now I know how to make the next attempt actually deliver on that. Now, if you're thinking about getting your music onto vinyl, make sure you take your time, learn your options, and pick the right path. Don't just rush into it blind like I did. Well, thanks for hanging out with me here at the studio. I'll see you guys in the next video. Now, make sure if you haven't, you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and drop your comments about how stupid I am down in the comment section. We'll see you next time. Happy listening.
And that's when the light comes.